So Elijah already told me about uploading his assignments. Noah and Kathy, were you able to successfully upload your assignment or assignments?
No, not yet. I haven't got to uploading them yet.
Okay, we'll try to put them up. Kathy, how about you?
You mean the assignment from last week about the invoice sheet or something? Are you talking about that?
Yep. The invoice and the time sheet.
Oh yeah.
The time tracking and the invoice.
Yeah, I submitted that last night.
Okay, good. Well, I just wanted to hear if anyone had any problems with that. Okay, so that worked in general. Noah, I think you can still put yours up there, so go ahead and do that as soon as you can. Okay. So in the next hour or less, depending on what time how long everything takes, we're going to go over what we're going to be doing. We're basically starting a project that's going to last 3 weeks. It is a branding identity project where we're really doing part of a brand identity. You'd do a little bit more if you were actually doing one for a client, but we're going to do part of it, and we're going to focus on the logo. At the end is the thing we're going to turn in, but we're going to turn in a few other things as well. One of the things that I think is helpful is if you guys, before the class or even after this class, if you have Blackboard up as another tab to look at, sometimes that's helpful. So there's 3 different parts. There's a part, the next 3 weeks is in module 2, and then there's a section for each week after that. So what we're going to do in this class, I'm going to talk about the project a little bit. Then I'm going to talk and show some websites about how to begin the research for the project. And then I'll probably email you those websites and post you all those websites into Blackboard. Then we're going to talk about doing a SWOT analysis, which I'll explain what that is. Look at the details of that, sort of how to use that. And that's what we're going to do. And then you guys will be able to start on assignment 3. Okay. So in the big picture, there is a fictional boutique called Amanda's Boutique, and it's in downtown Salisbury. So have you guys ever been to downtown Salisbury? I have not. Anyone been there?
I have.
You have? Are there clothing boutiques in downtown Salisbury?
Yes.
Okay. I obviously need to drive to downtown Salisbury. I've thought about having class in downtown Salisbury this Wednesday, although it's online. I don't think I'll do that, but I'm going to definitely go down there and look. How about the rest of you? Have you guys been into other parts of Salisbury? Other parts of shopping in Salisbury besides downtown? Because I assume there's other parts.
Not really done like shopping there, but I've been that area. I used to have people who, like family who lived there.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that I am going to do this week is I'm going to go to downtown Salisbury. It is not a requirement, but it might be helpful. So this is a boutique, and on the Blackboard, there is actually a zip file, and it has some pictures of this fictional boutique, Amanda's Boutique. And it has some pictures of the store. It has a picture of their logo. So that's a minimal amount of information about Amanda's Boutique. So what the assignment is and what we're going to be doing is we're going to do some research about boutiques in Salisbury, and also about just the general Salisbury area and the Salisbury consumer. And then what we're going to do is come up with an idea of a brand for Amanda's Boutique, and she sort of already has a brand. When you look at the logo, and we'll look at that in a minute, and it's okay. And some of the pictures that go along with the boutique are okay. But you could decide that you want to take the sort of general direction that I've provided through these pictures and go with that. Or after you do your research, you could decide that the general direction that Amanda's boutique is going is wrong and take it in a completely different direction or a slightly different direction. And that direction that you take it in through the brand and through a new logo is really up to the research you find. As we know with the world and almost everything we deal with, you can find a lot of research, and the amount of information, it can be a little overwhelming, and you sort of have to pick a few things and go with that. And I'll be showing you all the different choices and selections you can pick from. So in this project, you can it's your project. It's not a fictional boutique, and so a lot of the questions that we will talk about in the project, really you're going to be answering. Like you're Amanda. I'm not going to be answering. So these boutiques, this branding can come out very different for each student, which is okay. That's the point of it. Okay. With that, let me share my screen here real quick. The computer's being pokey. It's just the Branded Indie project for the next 3 weeks. So here is the information. You guys can see the research for Project 3. You guys can see that. Hello, my name is Amanda.
Yes, we can see it.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so this is the information you guys are going to have. So as you see at the bottom, as we start to do the research, there's those questions. What's the purpose of the company? What need does the company fulfill? You guys are going to get to answer those questions. Normally, you would be asking a client that, but in this case, you are pretending to be the client. Okay, so these are some of the questions when we do our research for this project that you're going to be answering. Who lives in Salisbury? Who shops at boutiques? What are their age, gender, income? What's the competition? Are there other boutiques? Are there things in competition with boutiques? All those type of things. So the research assignment will be to get some images, which some I'm going to provide with you, to you. And then also do some research and get some data about this boutique and about Salisbury in general. So just to see, and you can click on the information. So Amanda has given you, hopefully this will open, some visual research. But this is pretty slight. You guys will need to get some more. This is just sort of getting you going. hopefully this will be opening. So you guys should be able to download the zip folder. Hopefully that's going to open. So I want to look at one thing. Might not open. But there's some images in here and the logo. I was going to flip on the logo real quick just to talk about it. You might not want to do that for me. One of the things I'm discovering is my computer does things unusual when Teams is running, either slowly or whatever. Anyway, that may or may not open. It just opened for me a minute ago. Oh well, okay. So there's the information we've got on Amanda so far, and there is some images on there. It may or may not open for us. Probably will in a minute. Probably is going to open. So if we look down at lesson 2, so the research is going to be due this Sunday. We're going to talk about that. Then next week, we're going to do a mood board, which is images. So when I look at images, when I talk about images as we do the research, this is what you need those images for, and they can be digital. And then we'll start on doing a logo. Redoing the logo, I should say. For some reason, my logo is not coming back up. And then the last week in this 3-week project, then you can see this is what's going to be due. We're mainly going to concentrate on the logo and the typography within the logo and the color and the imagery that goes along with the store. Okay. So even though this is a brand identity project, because we're graphic designers, one of the things that is key is the logo. And so even though sometimes graphic design companies are challenged to do a much bigger brand identity, we're going to focus on the logo and the brand identity guide to go with that logo. That's this project. Marketing companies, you can do a lot more than that. Okay. So that's an overview of the project. That zip file never did do. Any questions on the project so far? Okay, so with that, a little bit of overview on a brand versus a brand identity versus a logo. So in a brand, and you guys have heard the word brand all around. You're supposed to have a personal brand. I think that could be a little, we can get carried away with that a little bit, I think, with the personal brand. But a brand is the mission, the values, the emotional feel of the brand. What you think about that? The brand identity is the signage, the advertisements, whether they're print, on TV, on YouTube, the labels, the display, the sign on the truck, the interiors, all those things are the brand identity. And then the logo is part of that brand identity. So to do a really good logo, it's helpful to think about the bigger picture of the brand and the brand identity to get a good logo. And so that's what the research is for. When we do the research, we're going to be going to these websites that I'm going to show you in just a minute. And you want to see, you know, what colors would go with people of a certain age, what type of typography would go with a people's certain income, possibly. So you've got to determine the feel and the mission of the brand or the store, and then work backwards or down to the logo. So any questions about the difference between the brand identity, and the actual logo itself? Is that making sense to everyone? Okay, good. So what we're going to do is, in this assignment, you guys are going to do some research. And you're going to go to some websites, and I'm going to show you some examples of some websites that I found. These are not the only websites. You can find some other ones. You're going to gather some research about the area, and then you're going to put those into a what I like to call a SWOT analysis, which is a strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis. And I actually, several places on the website, I hope I found it and changed it all, said that this is an essay. I don't want an essay. We want it as an outline format, and I will show you examples of the format, and I'll also email examples out. So we don't want an essay. We want an outline. There can be sentences in the outline, but not in essay form. So with that, I want to go to a couple of websites to start looking at some places that you could get some of this information. Okay, so I'm going to email this out, but this is a website that is all about the data for Salisbury, North Carolina. Can everyone see this opening page? It says population 33,000. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the opening page of this website, and this is called Data USA, and they have every city in the country. So you can see this has the poverty rate, the population, the median age, the median household income, median property value. So it sort of starts out big picture. And then as you go down, it has all kinds of detail. There's, largest university, Rowan Cabarrus Community College. Obviously, it talks about the COVID cases, community mobility and all that stuff. But then it goes into a lot of detail. Then it talks a whole section here about wages. So if I let it load, it has sections on every facet of Salisbury. It has a lot of great data, which is not showing over here. Here it is. So here is the household median income graph. So it talks about the growth of household median income. It has wages by gender. So it has all kinds of information about how much money people make, obviously. So this is going to determine, one of the things you've got to determine is how much money do people have in Salisbury? Do we need to have a high-end boutique? Amanda should be a high-end boutique that's selling, Chanel, or should it be more of a moderately priced boutique that's selling things that are slightly down from that? Sorry about that. So the reason you come up with working with the salary range is to figure out what kind of people are going to be shopping there. So there's wages by gender. Here's wage by race, wage distribution. So all kinds of things. Location by income, different areas. We go. So then it shows all about poverty, various parts of, and analyzing all the poverty in the area. You can see this is here's by occupations, employment by occupations. I thought this was a nice chart. So obviously a lot of people are in production occupations. But there's office managers, there's healthcare. It shows you the different percentages of things by occupation. So all kinds of, here's the different industries. This might determine the type of clothing you carry. Different trades that come in. So there's tons of information here. It just goes on and on and on. Health, diversity, education. I'm going to go to diversity. Here we go. So this This again, depending on what type of people live in Salisbury would determine the type of clothes you're going to have. Here's people born in Salisbury. The prices, the thing's not showing come up. Here's the people who are not born in Salisbury that live in Salisbury. Global diversity. Let's see what this chart is. Oh, this is for North Carolina, not Salisbury. Okay, so one of the things you got to look at is over here. This is not for Salisbury. This is North Carolina. Just 4% of the people in Salisbury were born outside of North Carolina. So that's interesting. Okay. Then how many veterans are here? You could determine that Amanda's Boutique needs to become an Army-Navy store. There's tons of veterans here. There's several veterans groups here. So quite a bit. This shows of veterans, most of them appear to be Vietnam veterans. But that looks like some Gulf War veterans. Okay, so that's one site. Here's another site. So this is called towncharts.com. So it will show up. And this is just another site with different information, slightly spread out. Earnings per worker, as you can see, the various things they've got going on in here. Get rid of the ads. Not very successfully. There we go. So this is a little bit different. Here goes earnings. Earnings by household, wages, self-employment, investment. So you can see this actually has a little bit of breakdown to some of the towns around. So Spencer's the next town down 85, you know, some of the things it shows retirement income. So 20% in Salisbury have retirement income. East Spencer have a little bit more retirement income. So Amanda's could be, could focus on retired shoppers, possibly. Monthly unemployment, obviously all of a sudden employment went up really recently, February, and then it's come back down. You can see these charts are live charts, they're updating them. So this is a little bit, well, slightly more of a comparison website. So it's showing all the areas around, which is fine. I always think some of this stuff is very interesting, and there's just lots of it. You can see how far. Let's go to the bottom and see what they've got down here. If it'll load that fast. Might not. Self-employment. It has all kinds of things. So it has 52 different charts on that. Self-employment for men and women, different industry groups. So interesting, all kinds of data, okay? So then that's that. Then you can go to the US Census site. And I'll be sending this out. So this is very detailed, and this is the information. I don't know if you guys just filled out the census. This just shows you the information the census gathered, which I think is actually somewhat helpful, but not as helpful as some of those other charts. There's not as much on here just because the census is pretty limited in what they're trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out where you live, how old you are, that type of thing. So there's not that much information in there, but some broader figures. It's interesting, you know, percentage of households with a computer. I don't know if that's helpful or not. So that is the census. Okay. So those are 3 different sites that you can go to figure out information for your research. you are not limited to those sites. They're just some sites I have given you. I'm going to send this link out to you as well. Get up there to the top. So this is a website called LivePlan, and it is just has a nice summary of what a SWOT analysis is. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's just a way to answer questions about branding or about any research question you're trying to answer for a company. A lot of people put them in a chart. So that's what I mean by outline format. You literally have an outline. You would list your strengths, you list your opportunities, your weaknesses, your threats, and you narrow it down into, let's say, your top 3 for each. And then those top 3 opportunities might be give you the direction to decide where your boutique is going brand wise. Okay, so look at this. So here's some questions under the strengths. So these are things you're trying to figure out. You know, what businesses are being successful in Salisbury? What type of physical assets do people need in Salisbury to run a business in downtown? What advantages are you going to have over the competition? Now, these are things you're going to answer yourself. Are you going to have a boutique that's only people come in, or are we going to have a website to go with it? Are we going to be delivering? That type of thing. Then you have weaknesses. It's in downtown. It's not out in the mall. It's not on 85. That type of thing. Is downtown good for certain type of businesses and not for others? Opportunities. What are we trying to do? Grow the market. How are we going to get people to the store? Are we going to have events? Are we going to be open on Saturday? We're going to open at night, open in the morning. It would depend on what our customers are. And then threats. What are the other potential competitors? So you want to look and see what else is in downtown. I actually did Google Maps. Google Maps is great with that. You can see what other stores are in downtown, what other stores are not in downtown. Amanda's Boutique is a clothing store. Where are the other clothing stores in Salisbury? So then this, and again, you can do this in outline format. This is an example of a SWOT analysis that someone came up with. You know, it's downtown, so that's good. They consider that a strength. Haven't established themselves, they consider that a weakness. This is a different store, obviously. Competitive threats. This was a pie store. They used an example. So certainly outline format as opposed to essay format. Okay. Great. So have you guys done a SWOT analysis in any other class before? Sarah, have you done one before?
I feel like I have before, but it may have been something different, but it was like close to that.
Similar to that. Noah, how about you?
I think I've done something kind of close to it, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, something like this. Kathy, have you done something similar?
Yeah, I believe so in the past, but I don't exactly remember if it exactly was that.
Yeah. And is that Liam? Is that you? PJ? Listed as PJ?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever done a SWOT analysis type thing?
Yeah, I actually have.
Okay. So, and a SWOT analysis is just one way to bring together research. There's several other ways, but that's just the way we picked for this class. So anything similar there are several things that are similar. So what my thought process would be in this is I would look at the images that are on the website. I tried to launch those, but they're not showing. see what we've got so far. And there's some pictures of what Amanda thinks her customers look like and what her store looks like. So I would start with my research always on a 2-track, because we are visual people, a 2-track thing where you're gathering information and then you're also gathering some images if you can. Sometimes you might have to look 2 different places. So I would start by gathering, and I'll send this out in an email, images and information on the area. You know, what's the big picture in Salisbury? Then I would look at retail. So this is a retail operation. I would gather some images about retail, which is really the competition. What other retail is downtown, outside of Salisbury, around Salisbury? Then focus in on, and all retail. So that could be motorcycle shops. So all the, not just boutiques. So first Salisbury, then all retail, see what retail is going on. Then what are similar operations? Gather some information on other clothing boutiques. And then see who lives in Salisbury. And we saw, like, for example, 20% are retired. Now that leaves the other 80%. What are the other 80% doing? Where are they getting their money? 20% is a lot. The images for Amanda's boutique don't look like a retirement boutique to me. And that may not be exciting to you guys either. So then that's the information I would get. Information on Salisbury, information on all retail, information on clothing retail, then information on who lives there, you know, what their income is, what they're doing. Then do a draft SWOT analysis. What are the most people, you know, who of the people that have the most money, what do you think they might be doing retail wise? What type of clothing are they looking for? So do a draft of the strengths, the weaknesses, the threats, and the opportunities. Then at that point, think about some stuff. What do you think? Start answering those questions. What do you think it would be good to come up as a brand for Amanda's boutique? And I wanted to show you the logo. It's not starting. It's a pretty sort of, it's an okay logo. We're obviously redoing it. It's a little complex. And maybe that is not where we want to go. So that's when, with your draft SWOT, you start thinking about, do you want to keep the name Amanda's Boutique? Do you want to change it? You want to keep the location Amanda's Boutique downtown, or you want to change it? And if you change it or if you keep it, you need some data to support that. There are some pictures of the clothing. Do you want to keep the clothes that Amanda has sort of outlined in her pictures, or you want to change it? Should we be selling just motorcycle jackets? I don't know. Should we switch? Then gather some images. I am certainly encouraging anyone who wants to go to downtown Salisbury and take some pictures and use that for their images. That would be great. Let's say you want to change the image, move the location. Then you need to go, you can gather some images of that location if we're going to move it somewhere. Some other things to do, which again, it's a little bit contrived that we're doing, we would do a survey on a fictional store, but you could survey 3 of your friends or parents or cousins or people and say, I'm doing a survey about, you know, where you shop in Salisbury, and use that as data. It's fine to make up your own survey and survey some people. And there are surveys and focus groups out on certain websites. I don't know they'd be about Salisbury. They're usually showing bigger stuff. Car companies, I found several of those surveys that are online. I don't know how helpful that would be. So then refine your SWOT. After you do a draft, see where it's taking you, gather some more information if you need to, and then start to pull together the SWOT for this week, the outline of the assignment, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. And then also pull together some images for the mood board of the beginning of the brand. What are the colors of your store? Amanda already has some colors. Are you going to stick with those colors or go with new colors? What are the colors? What are the feel of the store, inside, exterior, all that stuff. So the assignment for next week will be a mood board, and then we'll start working on the actual logo. All that type of stuff to go along with that. I have a question for you guys. So in the past, my impression is the professors have had you guys do a mood board physically, cutting magazines out and printing things. I know someone has mentioned they don't have a printer, possibly. How are people thinking about gathering images? Could you do that as a digital mood board? Have you guys? So that's a question, you guys. Have you guys done a physical mood board or a digital mood board in the past, gathering images? Noah, what's your past?
I usually do it digitally.
And digital, I think, would be the requirement in this class in the past has been do it in real life or just by cutting stuff out. But I think digitally would be okay. How about other people? Is digitally okay for people? Sarah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Liam, is that digital fine with you?
Yeah, digital is actually preferable.
Okay. Kathy, digital okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I will change the assignment then on the blackboard. It says do it with cutout magazines, but and it could be the professor last quarter did that or in quarters past. Okay, so it can be digitally. And that means it can be several files depending on, and I'll try to fix the Blackboard so we can upload several files. So in the, Noah, just as an example, in the past, when you've done a mood board, what are the type of things you have included in that?
I haven't really done a lot. Usually I haven't had a lot of assignments that include mood boards.
What are some things you think you might include?
I guess like pictures of certain things you'd like in the store.
Pictures of things in the store. Okay. Anything else come to mind? Images that you might want to include for a store?
Not really.
No. Sarah, what about you? What else would you include on a mood board? So you got pictures of the store.
I was thinking like color swatches for like paintings, the painting the walls and stuff.
So colors for painting the wall. That's a good idea. Okay.
Mhm.
What else could you use color for?
I guess to make the logo.
Logo. Okay. The color is obviously a wide-ranging thing. You can use it for painting the actual interiors. It can be the logo colors. There's a lot of other things that go along with a brand that we're not doing that can be used with colors, like the tag on your clothing or your items, that type of thing. Whether if you're doing some advertisement, you want to make sure the signs have a certain color and the truck has a certain color if you have a truck, delivery truck. Kathy, what are some type of images you would include on a mood board?
For Amanda's boutique, I don't know, maybe like what would like the interior design would possibly look like, or what they would sell would be part of the mood board. Like
Maybe some of the products. Okay.
Yeah, products.
Okay. Where might you find some product images?
I don't know. Maybe you can just use like royalty-free websites and just look what they have in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Products images will be good. Liam, what are some images you might be including on a mood board?
Just images of similar businesses, perhaps, to give me an idea of what other places are using and also what things to avoid so it's not too similar.
Oh, true. The mood board could have some things that you don't want in the store. I was in a store recently in Athens, Georgia, and I noticed that they had nothing black. And they actually have one of their brand guidelines is all of their typography, their signs, their labels, they never go fully high contrast to black, which is interesting. And I noticed it because everything was toned down. So they pulled everything down from the super dark colors, whether that be almost dark purple or dark blue, dark values, and all the typography and colors were always just short of super high contrast. Whereas their stores, have you guys heard of the black and white, what is it? Black Market and what's the other one? White House and Black Market. Obviously they've decided White House is all white and Black Market is all black almost. And this was the case, this store, they did not want anything black. So saying you're not going to have something on a mood board is okay. Elijah, we're discussing the mood board and the research to get there. So another thing to include in the mood board, which gets a little bit more difficult, but you can do it with photos, is textures or fabric. You should actually put the fabric on a real mood board, or you could have textures of the fabric. You could have textures of the material. We talked about painting walls, but there are a lot of things to do besides painting. You have wood, you have brick, so you have other things besides paint. So you could include those as well. The shelving, the actual what the product is on, it could be made out of lead pipe, PVC pipe, it could be professional, it could be made out of glass. So that type of thing can be part of your mood board as well. What about the actual logo, for getting ready for the logo itself? What else could we put on the mood board that would relate to trying to figure out what type of logo we'd want? Anyone have any ideas on that?
I was thinking maybe shapes or something like that.
Shapes? Like, what do you mean by shapes?
Like, what kind of feel you want the logo to have. Like, typically, if I'm designing a logo, I want it to be more in like a square kind of shape. So that way, if it gets shrunken down or whatever, it's still legible instead of just being like a long logo that doesn't fit everywhere.
Oh, true. So a shape, like if you want the logo to be square, and we tried to look at Amanda's logo. Amanda's logo currently now is round. So if you went to a square shape, that would be very different. Could a mood board include different types of typography?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing to look for. So are you looking for a bolder? Is Amanda's Boutique going to have a bold sans serif type typography, which might lend itself to the logo? Or is it going to have a frilly sort of script type of typography to go with Amanda's Boutique? So Amanda's Boutique is 2 words, and it could be initials, AB, or it is words. So the logo could have Amanda's Boutique, those words in the logo, or it could be a logo with a shape or some type of more abstract type of logo, and then the words Amanda's Boutique as part of the logo, but separate, not in the logo. So you would need some typography for the words Amanda's Boutique. For example, like AT&T has that big globe logo. Sometimes they just show that, but then sometimes they also add the AT&T to it. So you can include that. Shapes, like Liam mentioned, typography, different types of typography. Okay. Handwriting, that type of thing. Okay. Anything else has come to mind? Elijah, I didn't call on you. I know you fell off and came back. Is that Elijah? EC, sometimes it's hard to tell who EC is.
Yeah, that's me. My computer or my laptop stopped connecting, and then it had to do an update at the same time. So I had to fully restart the computer, and then it had to go through an update, and then Microsoft Teams wouldn't load for like 10 minutes.
Naturally,
it was a whole ordeal.
That's how that works. So anyway, Elijah, what are some things you might include on a mood board for Amanda's Boutique that we haven't mentioned, or anything else that's coming to mind?
So the mood board is like a bunch of ideas for stuff, like either like pictures of stuff you do want or stuff you don't want, right?
Correct.
So I mean, I'm not sure what all has been mentioned because I was out for a lot of the thing, but for example, stuff obviously like the color scheme you want could be on the mood board, like pictures or maybe pictures of things that are like the color you want, or or like say you wanted pastel colors, you could have like pictures of things that are pastel colored or stuff that or like of like boutiques like a dress shop, so you got like pictures of dresses and maybe flowers that could like floral themes tend to go with boutiques. That could be a thing you do also. And then obviously stuff you want to avoid. I heard you mention the thing about the color contrast, like you said, the thing that had like the mood that had the thing where they didn't go full contrast. You could have things you wanted to avoid, like maybe high saturation or low saturation if you want to avoid that thing. That's just a few ideas.
True. Okay. Well, great. One of the things that we have mentioned color, you always want to pick, you don't want to just have one color. You can, if you, let's say, like you just mentioned high contrast, low contrast, high saturation. So you want to have, I would say, at least 3 colors. Let's say you decide your theme is going to be, pastel, so on. So 3, do a color combination. I have to say, so just as a shared question, let's say we're picking 3 colors. This is a boutique, and it's really not a kid's store. I hadn't thought about changing it to a kid's store, although some people have done that. But let's say this is a clothing store for people, not kids, so teenagers and up or adults. So would anyone consider picking red, yellow, and blue, the 3 primary colors, full saturation, as a color scheme for an adult boutique? Does that sound good?
No, not really.
No. Why not?
I mean, I wouldn't, but somebody might.
Someone might. But what type of boutique might pick red, yellow, and blue fully saturated?
That feels more like something for like either younger kids, you're trying to be like maybe try to appeal to like teenagers or something, like kind of like more like a fashion, like the fashion with lots of colors. Doesn't really feel like because usually a boutique would be like lots of dresses, so I'd imagine like maybe soft colors like soft pink, soft purples, white, black, gray, stuff like that. So it doesn't really, the full saturation, it doesn't feel like an adult theme thing.
Well, and generally not. Full saturation of the primary colors is generally for kindergarten, preschool, elementary school, not past that. So when you do if you could use primary colors, but they wouldn't be fully saturated. They would be changed in some way in general. Okay, so when you think about colors, usually 3 colors is good. As a color scheme, can be more. But you definitely want to think about it and make sure it's going along with the brand that you're coming up with and the research that we're coming up with. Okay. Any questions so far? Questions. So this week, open up the documents that I was unable to open up. It's a zip folder in Blackboard that shows the logo, Amanda's boutique logo, and what her store looks like now. Then I suggest you do some research, like I said, and I'm going to send this out in an email. The area, competition, similar operations, and then who lives in Salisbury. Do a draft. Start thinking about what you want to do. And like I said, you don't have to go with what Amanda's boutique looks like now. You can completely change that. Decide what you're going to possibly go toward or enhance about what's there. Then do some research to see where you need to go. Can support that. Let's say you decide you want Amanda's boutique to become a tattoo parlor. I'm not suggesting that is a good idea. But let's say you do that. You need to make sure enough people want to get tattoos. I mean, maybe downtown Salisbury is not the place for tattoos. Maybe it is. And what kind of retail would you have there besides being a tattoo parlor? So it is a retail operation, not just a service. So it can't just be a tattoo parlor. But then you would need some research to support that. Go back and find the research, then do your final SWOT. I'm suggesting that the research be turned in outline format, showing all your research. First, your images or research on the area, the operations, do that as an outline. Then do the SWOT as an outline. List the strengths, list the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. don't write a paragraph, right? Do it in outline format or bullet format. You can do it as a chart of four quadrant chart, or just in outline, just on top of each other. And then know that we're going to take this research and do a mood board next week and start on the logo. Questions on that so far on the research?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Couple questions for me. So if you're going to do research, Noah, if you're doing an outline, how many pages do you think, how many items you like, or how many pages of research do you think you would need?
Like 1 or 2.
1 or 2. Okay. Especially if it's outline format and you're listing, this is the income, that type of thing. So 1 or 2 pages of research. Kathy, if you're doing an outline on the SWOT analysis, how many pages does that look like if you're doing outline format?
I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 or 3. I don't know, depending how much you want to go in depth about it.
So I would say that the SWOT analysis should be limited to 1 page because you're trying to narrow stuff down. You could have a research of 2 to 3 pages, and then you're narrowing it down to the SWOT and try to get that all on 1 page because you're trying to have that be a summary of your research. Sort of outlining sort of my thoughts on that, if that's okay. Okay. Anyone thinking, I would do this in MS Word. Anyone thinking about using something else to do this in? The actual research part, not the mood board. Okay. So for the mood board, I'd be collecting image resource as well and just save it as JPEG somewhere, and then we'll decide. You can decide how you want to do that, where you want to do it in Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever, PowerPoint. Any of those is fine. But that's next week. That's not this week. Okay. So on the website, there is a bunch of videos that talk about branding. I suggest you watch those. I am going to post some websites from the chapter 4. And I suggest you read that. There is some good information in there, and I went over some of that just now. And actually, there's some great websites in there. Forget what they have little websites on the bottom of each page, and some of them quite good. I'm going to try to send those out in the email I send out in a few minutes. Okay. So this, I'm going to change gears. So any other questions on the research for Amanda's Boutique before I change gears for our independent project? Questions on Amanda's Boutique?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay, good. So this Wednesday, what we're going to do is I'm going to open up a Teams meeting. And what I would like to do is talk to everyone just individually for about 5 minutes. And what I'm going to try to do is not to make appointments. Basically, it'll just be first come, first serve. So whoever gets on there first, I'll talk with you. I'll leave the rest of you guys in the waiting room, and then let you come in there and talk to me as I get finished with each one. So you don't have to be on there right at 9:30. Come on there sometime in that hour. I'd say in the first 30 minutes. And what I'd like to do is discuss with you the ideas on what you're going to do for your independent project. And so an independent project is, and I was explaining this to Liam, this is a little repeat, I think, because you and I talked about this outside of class. So the way to think about your independent project is you can look and see what we're doing in this class. We're going to do a branding project. Obviously, we're going to do a logo. We're going to do some a poster. So one way to do an independent project is think about something you really want in your portfolio. You really want a series, a children's book, a children's book in there. Do you really want a magazine layout in there? What do you really want in your portfolio that you don't have in there now? So that could be something. Do you want a bunch of logos? Do you want 20 logos in there? Or do you what is something in your portfolio that your portfolio doesn't have yet? What's a hole in your portfolio? Do you really want a trade show display? Although we are working on one of those in this class. But let's say you don't have one of those yet. You could do a whole trade show design. So one way to think about it is something you want to have in there that you just want to make sure this gets in your portfolio, or something that's missing for your portfolio that you think you need to have in there. So think about that, and then you and I will discuss your ideas, and we will be trying to come up with what you individually will be doing as an independent project for this class. So questions on that? Okay. Great. Let's see, anything else? Questions. So I'm going to send an email with all those links to the different websites I looked at, and an outline of what I talked about, my design thinking on that. And you should be getting that in the next, hopefully 15 minutes. Any questions? Also, so after I talk with everyone individually, I will be on the Teams meeting Wednesday from 9:30 till 10:30. And then again, my office hours, the team is just open for my office hours at 1:30. If all of a sudden I'm not on there, you can always just call me. But 1:30 on Wednesday, 1:30 to 2:30, I just have an open Teams meeting. Sometimes I accidentally click it off, like Elijah, like last week, it all of a sudden just went off. I had to turn it back on, and then someone called me. So then we talked on the phone, and then also I turned the team back on. So I'm available then also to talk about things. Okay. Questions. So we're trying to have also at your meeting, when we meet individually, I'd love to hear how you're doing on your research for Amanda's Boutique. And then the actual research and the SWOT analysis is due on Sunday at midnight. As always, that's the standard deadline. I am going to put a discussion board thread up there if you want to put a draft for me to give comments, like, here's my research so far, what do you think? I will put a discussion thread, and you can put that up there, and I can certainly look at that till Friday. It can be sort of a Friday question thing. Okay. Any last questions? Great. Okay, so I will talk to everyone individually, sort of first come, first serve. So spread yourself out. Don't all come on there right at 9:30 on Wednesday. And we'll talk about this project and individually, and mainly your independent project and what you're thinking about. Okay, talk to you on Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.